It's one of the most beautiful and graceful art forms there is. But to make it as a professional ballet dancer, you have to have the mental and physical drive of any elite athlete. 6 days a week, members of the Australian Ballet pour blood, sweat and tears into making this gruelling profession look effortless on stage.
It is a lifestyle choice and it takes a lot of energy and a lot of time.
Dana Stevenson has been performing with the Australian Ballet for over 18 years, so she's no stranger to the intense daily demands of performance season.
It's all about managing your body to get through the day and then get to the show, because that's the cherry on top at the end of the day. I try to do a little bit of body conditioning in the morning or across the day, and then we have a daily class, which is either at 10:30 or 11. So that's our training. We're trying to hone our technique, work on some things, but also get going for the day, work through the soreness from the previous days, and also kind of get some of that nervous energy out of the body as well. Then we might rehearse for the current season or the next season, so that's often learning a new ballet. So that gets the brain going as well. And then we have a break in the afternoon. You might grab some lunch and then get back to the theatre to get ready for the evening show about 5:36, depending on my time.
Wow, I mean, it's a full-on day. Your body must take a little bit of a beating doing class and then doing performances. Are there any sort of specific differences in the sort of repertoire between the sort of more contemporary repertoire or the more classical repertoire? Do you have to train differently for that?
Yeah, the classical and contemporary repertoire pushes your body in really different ways. So they tend to use slightly different muscle groups. The contemporary work's a lot more grounded, sometimes a bit more ballistic, a bit more physical. The classical work can also have that, but it can also be a lot more about control, and especially if you're doing group work, there's a lot of precision with the group and staying in line. So it's a different kind of focus. And what's really tricky, but kind of a really great challenge here, is that we often are doing classical work at the same time as contemporary work.
With the body pushed to perform so many different tasks, it's no wonder that 80% of professional dancers experience at least one significant injury per season, compared with just 20% of football and rugby players. The Australian Ballet's rehab physiotherapist, Sophie Emery, is part of a crack team of health experts responsible for supporting dancers' recovery.
The most common area for injury is below the knee. So 50% of our injuries happen to the calf or the foot, and then it's normally followed by sort of the hip or the lower back. If unfortunately any injury does happen, then as a whole team we get around them. So physio, sports doctor, GP, psychologist, welfare development, strength and conditioning, and we get a really well-rounded program.
Watching Rowan Fennell leap around the studio, you'd have no idea he's suffered multiple nasty foot injuries.
In my first year, I had a stress fracture in a bone in my foot, which sort of had me out for a few months and which was quite a slow rehab. And then a few years ago, I sprained my deltoid ligament in my ankle, which was quite intense and had me on crutches for a few weeks. And very painful, but again, have been able to come back from all of those injuries. And I think injury is just a part of what we do. Taking time away from the demands of our career to rehab an injury allows you to learn a lot about your body, and I think you often come back stronger from injury.
Although some injuries are inevitable, over the past couple of decades, the Australian Ballet have become renowned for their remarkably low injury rate compared to other ballet companies.
So I think there's sort of a misconception that dancers need simple Pilates exercises or stretching to help support them, but what we've found is strengthening is so key, so that when they go into the studio, they have sufficient strength and muscular endurance, so they know that they can do what they need to do.
If you're doing 8 shows of Swan Lake a week, your feet are really taking a beating. So it's a bit of a combination of keeping the strength up in the feet, ice baths at night, physio treatment, rolling them out. You'll see us in between shows with our feet up in the air, just trying to, drain that blood out so that it's a bit more fresh for the evening show. The contemporary season, everyone's rolling out their muscles.
So So, Sophie, I've heard that the Australian Ballet have a certain exercise that they've almost taken and used as their own that helps to prevent injuries to the ankle. Can you talk to me about that?
Yes, so I think our trademark exercise has become the single leg calf rise. So much so I think overseas they're called the Aussies. So basically it's just standing on one leg and doing slow, really well controlled single leg heel rises to your absolute maximum. And we expect our dancers to be able to do at least 25. And we've found it's significantly helped the number of lower leg injuries that we have. We've barely had any surgeries in the last 13 years, which is pretty exciting.
Back a very long time ago in my ballet days, there was not so much of a healthy mindset maybe about things like diet and just working hard all the time. And if you get injured, you have to push through. Is mental health an aspect that you concentrate on, or the Australian Ballet, do they have a team that work with the dancers for their mental health?
Absolutely. It's absolutely paramount that dancers have mental health support as well. So in recent years, we've employed someone specifically to help develop a program to help look after not only the mental health, but also facilitate some of that nutritional support that might be required. So we have a team of nutritionists and dietetics that we refer out to if they do need a bit of help and support or some advice. We also have a great partnership with a company that makes some ready-made meals. So if they're really time poor, which quite often they are, we've got some nutritionally balanced ready-made meals that they can grab and go.
Arguably the biggest mental and physical challenge of Dana's career has been returning to the demands of dancing since becoming a mother of 3.
After I had my son Jasper, I was 30 and I was ready to keep dancing again. It was quite a natural progression. It took 9 months to get back on stage, but it was pretty smooth, and I kind of didn't question much along the process. My body felt the same, so that I was very lucky. After I had my twin girls, that was a really different story. And I didn't expect to dance again. It's such a massive life change. But in the end, I started back just doing class just for my mental well-being more than anything, and just being around people I knew and just dancing to piano. And then it kind of developed from there. As a really busy mum now, I don't have 3 hours to do a session in the gym. I have 15 minutes here, I have 5 minutes here, and I just make the most of that. I rush into the gym and I do one exercise and I rush to rehearsal, and then I've got another break, so I rush in and do, and little bits across the day, they all add up.
Even though the sacrifices of being a dancer are significant, I think the privilege for me has been to know what it is to be a passionate person, to have something in my life that I am prepared to make a sacrifice for. I think is a really profound experience.
It's so rewarding going on stage every night, and for audiences to come and be transported to a different world and be blown away by how physical, how athletic we can be. It's a really beautiful way to spend my time. I'm very lucky to have this as a career.